don't hear regularly in the church. And so sometimes I ask the cameras to cut me off sometimes when it comes to that point. Because I up in some areas so we can begin to walk in the fullness of that which God has called us to walk in. And so we'll talk politics in a church today. How many of you believe politics is a good thing? Okay, can your hand fly at beyond half-mast? Okay, thank you. How many of us will ever get into politics? Why are you like this? Okay, you didn't hear the question. How many of us are ever going to get into politics? Your hands there. Sir, they are being sincere. How many of you think that not availability of Christians in politics in Nigeria is the problem with our politics in Nigeria? Did you hear the question? How many of you believe that it is the lack of Christians in Nigeria that is a problem with politics in Nigeria? Raise your hand. Okay, so let me go back to the second question. How many of you want to get into politics? Okay. We don't like the problem of politics, but we don't mind that we are part of the problem. How many of you believe that if we had younger leaders in Nigeria, we will have a better Nigeria? Okay. All right, I'm done with my social experiment. Let's talk. Nigeria as a country has evolved over time. There were times when we were under colonial rule, and there were times before that time we had a country. Nigeria did not start when we got independence. There was Nigeria before independence. There was a structure and there was a way and manner that Nigeria operated pre-independence. There was a way and manner that Nigeria operated during the independence era. That's, you know, the period, the first 5 years of our independence. We became a republic in 1963. Up to 1965, we were learning the ways of a country. There was a way and manner the country ran, and after that time, there is a way and manner the country has operated. We have had 4 different republics in Nigeria until today. Actually, a republic happens when a new civilian takes over government. That's when a new republic comes. One of the questions I ask you, or I asked you, is that, do you believe that we have lack of Christians, or that lack of Christians in politics is part of the problems that we have in politics? And you said yes. But I want to put it to you that we have actually not lacked Christians in politics. We have had Christians in politics. As a matter of fact, I think we have had almost equal number of Christians and Muslim leaders in Nigeria from independence till date. I asked you if you thought that our leaders, the number of years of the leaders that we have in this country is a problem. Maybe if we had younger leaders, we'll probably have a better country. And you said yes. I want to put it to you that Nigeria is one of the countries that has the youngest set of leadership, the average age of leaders from independence to date. That might come shocking to you, but it's true. The average age of the Nigerian leader is about 50 years. Many other countries have about 55, 60, and on and on. Nigeria has about 50. And I think for somebody who is 50, he's sane enough, strong enough to be a leader. True or false? Now, let me try and play back the history of Nigeria till this point, especially of the people that have led us. When did we become independent as a country? We're in a history class now. I'm the teacher. When did we become independent as a country? In I heard somebody say 64, so I'm trying to confirm if I heard the right thing. 1960. In 1960, When Nigeria became independent, it was handed over to a set of persons to lead the country. Now, let me give you the basis behind the handing over that I'm talking about. You see, when the colonial masters were to leave the country, there were a set of people we call nationalists, people who were agitating for a new Nigeria, who were fighting to get a new Nigeria. People like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, were people like, who again? No, Tafawa Balewa was not an agitation. Was not an agitator. He was not. But he was a leader. All right? We had people like Anthony Enahoro. We had people like, okay, so let me help you. Not many of us, no, Ghanaian Fahimi was, I mean, it's far, far, far younger. No, Agoye Rosen was not one of them. Obafemi Awolowo. Then we have somebody from the north. I'm trying to wake up your history lessons. Amadou Bello. Let's stop at the three of them. They were the agitators. But you see, the people who colonized us have worked with us in the period of time that they colonized us. And in the period of time of working with us as a people, they knew the people who would give them problem if they handed power over to them. Are you with me? I want you to be with me. All right? They knew the people that would give them problem if they handed power over to them. And they knew the people that would go along with them easily. So what they did was they identified those people who would go with them easily and they gave them power. Even though those people were not sound, intelligently enough to lead the country into the next phase, they were not sound in democratic principles, they were not sound in democratic structures and in politics enough to lead the country to the next stage. But these people were obedient servants. So they found those people and they gave power to them. That was the basis behind our independence. That was how it was easy. Now, what happened at independence was this. When these people got power, it became a tough job for them to do. Because running a country is not exactly the same with running a family. Many of us think we will do better as presidents of the country. I tell you the truth, you will not. Until you get to that place. It's easy to condemn from a distance until you are in the saddle. So, at independence, between 1960 and 1966, there was a sharing of power between two persons. One we call the head of state, the other we call the head of government. The head of state at that time was a person called, or a man called Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. And the head of government was a man called Alhaji Tafawa Balewa. They were in office between 1960 and 1966. Just follow me. All right? Just follow me. Even if you don't understand yet, just follow. You will understand. They were in office. And they were doing well, relatively well. But then, because they had not handled this kind of leadership before, it was not easy for them to carry through. So, the military thought that these people cannot continue to lead this country the way they were going. Corruption was becoming rife. They were doing anything they wanted, the way they wanted, because they had power. And so the military struck in 1960. Where did I stop? No, 66. I stopped in 1966. The military struck in 1966. There was a coup in 1966, actually in January 1966. And between January 1966 and later in that same year, 1966, in July, the military was in power. The person who came into office was a man called General Agoye Ironsi. Came into power between 1966 January and July 1966. Then the military, for who they are, would not continue to have things the way they have always been. You thought somebody was bad until you have the next person. So the next person that came in was, permit my English, badder than the first. So they struck. They struck again, and their striking this time produced a new leader. Who did it produce? The most senior person in the hierarchy of the military at that time, a man called General Yakubu Gowon. He came into office in 1966, and he was in office. And there was the issue that predated our independence came up. That issue was the issue of the North versus the South. The North thought the South was a particular way, doing things in a particular way and manner, and the South thought the North was this kind of people who do things in a particular way that was not in tandem with how things ought to be done. So the clash continued. And what became what we now realize or we recognize as pogrom came up at that time. There was a killing, massive killing of people from the south, especially the southeast. The southeast or southeasterners could no longer stomach the killing of their people, and so they called to secede. Secession means that you called to leave the country. And so that fight continued until it culminated in a civil war that happened in 1960 what? 1967. Our civil war started in 1967 and it continued until 1970. Meanwhile, General Yakubu Gowon was still in office. He was in office from 1966 until the war ended. He was still in office until 1975. In 1975, the military, in their wisdom, thought they had a bad guy before. Now they had a badder guy, so they want to remove him again. So they struck in 1970. Oh, history student. In 1970 what? 1975. When they struck in 1975, someone else came into office. Who came into office? Oh, I don't have so many history students here. All right. The person that came into office was called General Dimka Moha. Oh, you don't know Muhammad? Muritala Muhammad. It's actually Dimka Muritala Muhammad. That's the name. So he came into office in 1975. And when he came into office, he started doing, beautifully well, executing policies that you would have thought is the civilian government and everything. Things were going very well. Going very well. And then, just about 1 year into being in office, he was brutally killed. The military struck again. He was killed. And when he was killed, his deputy was sworn into office. Who was his deputy? Major General Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, when Obasanjo came into office, he was to end what we call our first republic in this country. We don't do history classes in church, right? You're having one today. He was to end what we called our first republic as a country. So he was in office from 1976 to 1979. In 1979, he conducted the first election that will usher us into our second republic as a country. That election brought in a man called Alhaji Shehu Shagari. I want you to be noting what I'm talking about. The names I'm mentioning, they are religion as well. Okay? Shehu Shagari came into office in 1979. He was in office until the expiration of his office term in 1983. He completed that term and recontested. Actually, by hook or crook, he was brought into office. All right? 1983. Shortly after he won the re-election, he was a target of the military again. The military thought, no, this corruption has gone too much now. We can no longer stomach it. We have to end it. So they struck again. Guess who struck this time? No. Major General Baba. He struck in 1983. And he was in office from 1983. It was barely 2 years in office when the military thought, no, this man, the way he's going about things, we can no longer stomach it. We have to remove him. So they struck again. And who struck this time? General Badamasi Babangida. He came into office in 1985. And then when he came into office, he started doing very well, so to say. He was running things, things were running him. He was managing things, and he implemented so many policies, he did so many fantastic projects. Some of you can remember, probably. The road from Kano, for example, down to Abuja was constructed under his administration. The third mainland bridge in Lagos was constructed during his administration. He did so many fantastic things that if you really go back in history, you give him kudos. But military is military. Military is military. He was to usher us into our third republic because he organized election and was to hand over power onto the winner of the election. But he did what any military man would have done. Promise one thing and do another. What was that thing that he did? The winner of the election was suddenly, that election was annulled. How many remember Hope 93? MKO Abiola. You may have been very small at that time, or maybe, hey, somewhere. 1993 was the year. Nigerians were everywhere. On the street, in every place you can ever think of, Nigeria said, we are not going to have this. We have had enough. So, the gentleman called General Babangida stepped aside. And by stepping aside, new administration. Actually, that ushered us into our third republic. Who came into office at that time? One man who was a chairman of a Nigeria Limited. They went to pick that man. The name of that man is what? Thank you. You're waking up now. Chief Ernest Shonekon. He was picked. And they told him was how hot the seat was going to be for him. 3 months, he was out of it. Because for the very 3 months of his life, he had the longest 3 months, actually, of his life. Every single decision, every single day was with a gun to his head, as much as possible. It might not be, literally, but figuratively. In 1993, after 3 months, he was asked to vacate. When a military man is telling the civilian vacate, what will vacate to is on your head. So he left. And then in came our Generalismo. Do you know Generalismo? Oh, General Sani Abacha. In 1993, he came into office. And one thing would lead to another, one thing would lead to another, and he wanted to perpetuate himself in office, transitioning from military to a civilian ruler. So he did all the magic, all the mathematics and everything, until God decided to have favor and mercy on Nigeria. Otherwise, there was no man anywhere that would have been able to remove that man. But God, in his mercy, did it. 2 women, 1 apple. The rest is history. Amen. I was not there. In case you're trying to quote me. All right. So, in 1998, General Sani Abacha vacated by the hand of God to a world beyond. And in 1998, somebody had to step in to steady the ship that was rocking. Nigeria was rocking so badly as at that time. So badly, anything could have gone wrong. Anything could have gone wrong. And then a man came, a man called General Abdusalami Abubakar. He came into office in 1998. And for 1 year, he tried to steady the ship of Nigeria. He did everything he could possibly do as a human being, junketed around the entire world, traveling with Nigeria's budget. Oh, the man enjoyed. I mean, if I was him, I would have done the same. He used the opportunity of the challenge that we had at the country to negotiate a new country for us. And eventually he did. And he kept his word, handed over power to a civilian administration, ushered in our 4th republic in 1999. That person that succeeded him was who? No longer a general, this time chief. Mention the name now, you're afraid? Chief Olusegun Obasanjo came into office in 1999. And as he came into office, he began to implement or promulgate policies that will look like a civilian policy. The first time Nigerians will really feel democracy, as it were. He brought those things up and continued to work. Had 2 terms, exiting office finally in 2007. 2007, you are looking for a calculator. He left us in 2007 and handed over power to another civilian. This time, a scion of the North, a man from Katsina. What's his name? Alhaji Musa Yar'Adua came into office. He was in office from 2007 to 2009 until the cold hand of death caught up with him and he left. Then his deputy came into office in 2009, continuing in office, won a re-election, and was in office until 2015. 2015, he exited, even though he didn't want to. But he had to do it because he couldn't stomach the blood of. So he exited. And in 2015, the new man came into office. Well, I didn't say anything. This is the point I'm trying to arrive at. If you look at these whole persons that I've mentioned and you put them side by side and tabulate Muslim, Christian, you will find that there have been almost equal number of years between them. So, can we say that we didn't have Christians in power? The answer is no. We had Christians. Almost same number of Christians, Muslims in power. Do we have, or did we have as Christians in power? Can we say that these people were too old? No. As a matter of fact, let me let you know that the person who supervised our country at the time of the Civil War was 32 years of age. Yakubu Gowon was 32 years when he became the president of Nigeria. As a matter of fact, we were fighting Civil War, he was getting married. Oh, yes. We have had 39 years old leaders in the country before. So the question is not about how old our leaders have been or which religion they belong to. The question has always been, who are the people leading us? Who are the people who are leading us as a country? I'm coming down gradually to you now. Politics itself is not a religion, but it's not anything other than a religion. I'm hoping you understand that. Because the people who practice politics, who we call politicians, don't have religion. There is no Christian, there is no Muslim. When you are a politician, you're a politician. A politician can be in church today, tomorrow is in a mosque. As far as that will guarantee him some votes, it's okay. A politician can... The only thing that is not possible with a politician is the thing that is not possible to think about yet. As far as you can think about it, it's possible. This is the bane of us as a people, where we have politics without values, where we have politics without conscience, where we have politics without definition of terms. And so everybody practices anything called politics all as much as it brings to them, it is good. As much as it returns to them dividends of their investment, it is okay. It doesn't matter whether these dividends come at the expense of peace in the society. It doesn't matter whether it comes at the expense of the lives of the people that it supervises. It is okay. This is our problem as a people. It is not Christianity. It is not the age of the leaders. It is in the practice of the concept. It's in the practice of the concept. And so a person who is without value, who comes into office, will not suddenly gain value in office. It doesn't work like that. No man can give what he does not have. If you don't have a conscience and you get into power, you will not get conscience in power. It's not possible. It's not possible. But do you know the reason why these people are perpetually in power? Do you know what? Do you know the reason why they are perpetually in power? No, talk to me. I thought you would have woken up by now. Do you know why they are perpetually in power? Because you and I enable it. How? You and I don't like politics. You know, the question that has the lowest number of hands raised when I asked my 4 questions earlier was how many of us were going to get into politics? It had the lowest number of hands. And I'll tell you that the reason some of you didn't raise your hand is because of what you heard about politics, not because of what you've seen in politics. How many of you here are politicians? How many of you have practiced politics enough to know what politics is? Most likely one or two. So the rest of us that don't like politics, what is it about politics we don't like? What do we know enough about politics? But we have been told that a good child does not do politics. We have been told politics is dirty. We have been told that if you dip your hand in it, you will eat with the devil. We have been told that if you go into it, you're not likely to go to the kingdom of God. Stereotypes, stereotypes, stereotypes. Things we have been built with that we have not lived long enough to confirm to be true or not. And so an oppressed has no justification to complain when he's not ready to be delivered. Did you hear what I said? The oppressed person has no justification to complain when he has done nothing to be delivered. Politics is bad. Are you good to forsake it? 1. 2, who is going to clean it up? Who is going to clean it up? That's number 1, where we enable it. Number 2, where we enable it is by our continual refusal to participate in it. How? A lot of us here today, if I ask you and you'll be sincere, well, you are in church, so you'll be sincere if I ask you the question. You have a voter's card, raise your hand. One, I'm actually counting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thank you for being sincere. The faces I look at this afternoon, most of the faces I look at are above 18. So you can vote and be voted for. How many of you who have voters card have voted before? Okay. Now, this is just a representative sample of the generality of people outside there. Are we together? Are we together? No, are we together? So we have a community of people who want a change in their leadership, but on the day of election would carry football and go to the field to play. Yet they want the change. We have a community of those who are crying, things are bad, the leaders are terrible people, they are useless people, they are this and that. And on the day when they should decide the fate of those leaders, they stay away from the polls. An oppressed has no justification to complain when he does nothing to be delivered. All of us are oppressed. If you like the way Nigeria is, raise your hand so we can perpetuate the prayer for you. You like the way Nigeria is? Nobody. But what are you going to do about it? Look, all of us will play a huge role in the way our lives will turn out. But that's not where it stops. All of us must play a huge role in the way Nigeria will turn out. I don't care whether you believe in the future of Nigeria or not. At least you are in it for now. And for as long as you are in it, you have to play your part in determining how it will look like. A lot of Christians want to stay away from being part of a political party. So they say, go and register for a political party. You have a problem with all of them, except the one that's not been created. Go to APC. Those ones is a bunch of devils. In fact, their grandfather is a devil. The father before the grandfather. You have every reason to not participate. Join PDP. Those ones. Is it not the same thing that they are? It's just the garment that changed. One is blue and white. The other one is red and green. They are all the same. It's only garments they have changed. It's the same thing. They are all devils. Okay. Join YPF. Do you have any YPF? Whatever the name is. APP. APGA. You have a reason why you will not join any of them. How are you going to participate? How? How? How are you going to play your part in changing what we have as our reality? How? How? And even if you don't like to join a political party, can you at least please vote? Today, you don't even have to go to an INEC office or go to a, what do you call? You don't have to go to any of these places. Right on your phone, you can register for your voter's card and get it. Right on your phone. But a lot of us don't even know if there's such a website or if there's such a process. How? Look, there are no people anywhere that are coming to Nigeria to fix Nigeria. Let's stop dreaming. No American is coming to come on. Obama may be a black man. He's not going to come to become the president of Nigeria. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. It's you and I that are going to be it. And so the more you and I run away from this, the more we continue to have what we don't want to have. And listen, cut me off. Cut me off. The children of this world are wiser